Hey folks, we're back and I'm glad to have Beth Bennett, H&R Block. It's time for Tax Tips, H&R Block with Beth Bennett. Glad to have you back, Beth. You know, yesterday afternoon I made a phone call and I said, I needed to get you in here. There's too much happening. We don't know if the IRS is processing refunds, what pace, what's going on. And I just said I wanted to get you in here and see if you can update us a little bit on what you're seeing going on out there with tax refunds, tax filing this year. How are you doing?
I'm great, Brian. Thank you. So yes, the IRS is open. They opened officially on their regular date that they do every year, January the 28th. They were open and processing returns even while the government was shut down. That was something new that Congress enacted this year. During the shutdown, they brought them back to work. So even if on the 15th the government shuts down again, could happen, not really sure what's going to happen, nobody knows, IRS will continue to be open. They will continue to process tax returns and refunds for everyone. So come in, get your tax return done, get your refunds back now.
So let me just recap what you just told us here. So when the government went into a shutdown, the IRS was closed. Okay, or not all the IRS, but the IRS, the part that processed refunds was shut down.
Correct. Only 12% of the IRS was working. The only part that was working was the people who sent out the nasty letters and collected taxes.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, thank you so much, because exactly, it's funny how I'm with the IRS, those people stayed, they were essential to come shake down Americans, to send those letters out and say, you owe us money. But the people that process giving our money back, now,
they were not working.
They were not working. And you know, the funny thing is, and don't take this wrong, I don't want to use this time to confuse anybody out there, but a tax refund is giving our money back.
Correct. They hold your money all
right,
year
exactly.
with no interest.
No, right. But you won't come to work to give me my money back, but you'll come to work to, pound on people they owe you money. All right, so that being said,
kind of like the mafia, huh?
Okay. All right. Well, that being said, during the shutdown, the IRS, the part of the IRS that processed refunds and returns was closed. And what you're telling us is Congress enacted something that said even during the time of a government shutdown, the IRS has to staff up and be there to process returns and refunds. So they came back in.
Correct.
All right. Now, even if we go into another shutdown, and this is why I wanted you to come in today, because I wanted to hear from you, a professional, even if the government goes into another shutdown, this time those people won't leave. They will stay in place.
That is correct. Even if we go into another shutdown, Congress enacted legislation that the IRS will continue to operate at full staff and process tax returns and refunds.
Thank you so much, because that was something I wanted to convey. Now, how is that going? Are they on track this year, the IRS? Is it slow? What are you seeing this tax season that's any different or on track with last year?
So as far as the IRS processing the refunds, they seem to be doing it a little quicker this year. The law passed a couple of years ago called the PATH Act, and that was to help stop some of the fraud on a few of the very high dollar credits and deductions, like the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit. Those are really big dollar credits, which had a lot of fraud around them. And so those returns, people were filing very early and stealing other people's identity. So you might come in and file your 15-year-old child on your tax return. You claim them as your dependent, and that child was, your return gets rejected and said that child's already filed a tax return. Well, they never filed. Someone has used that child's identity, filed a tax return with that kid, and claimed the earned income credit and child tax credit. So they've put a stop to that, and the PATH Act has been very successful in doing that. So there's a lot less fraud around that. They said come in, file early. That's a really big it's huge to file early. That's the best thing for identity theft. Come in, file your taxes early. Even if you owe, file early. Just because you file your taxes on January 15th, you don't have to pay. Even if you owe $10,000, you don't have to pay till April 15th. You can file your tax return on January 15th. You don't have to send your check and pay the IRS what you owe them until April 15th. So, but what you're doing by filing early is stopping anyone from stealing your identity, and that's a big deal.
Okay, so those are some of the, so anyhow, getting past that one subject to move on, anything you hear out there, folks, as far as the IRS is concerned, or they're not processing returns or whatever that may be, that is false information, and that's why I was glad to get an opportunity to get Beth in here, a professional, to tell us what exactly is going on with the IRS, because we hear a lot of false information out there, from government shutdown to so many different things concerning filing this year opposed to others. What are some of the things that people need to remember as they're filing this year, Beth? What are some of the highlights that you wanted to make this morning?
So remember, if you have the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit, just like I just said, those refunds are supposed to be held till February 15th to review them, make sure that they're accurate and they're matching up addresses and income. Although we've seen some of those refunds be released already. We haven't seen that in the last few years. And that was a tax law that was passed, so we were very surprised by that. But if you have those credits and you really need your refund, H&R Block does have a refund advance loan where you could get up to $3,000 with a 0% interest and 0 fees. So that's a pretty cool deal where you could get that money instantly. So that's a very cool thing. Make sure you have all of your documents. Don't come in and file. If you know you have one more W-2 or anything else for your tax return, if you're waiting on a retirement, it will slow down your refund, cause you to get a letter. It's not worth the hassle because it's not going to get you money quicker to go ahead and file without something, because they are matching up all of those documents. They pull your social security number, they match everything and say, oh wait, well this company reported a W-2 and it's not on his return. So everything goes to a screeching halt. You get a letter instead of your refund.
And I don't know, is this not the last week, if memory serves me right? I don't know, I don't handle that part of this company or really ever any company I was involved with, but isn't this like the last week that employers can send out their W-2?
Last week was.
Was it last week? Was
January
it last week?
31st
Okay.
was the cutoff
Right.
for companies, employers to send out your W-2, your 1099.
I knew it was like first week of February or last week of January. I knew that was the area where.
Yep. The IRS will allow you, if you after February 15th, if you have not received your W-2 or your 1099 for your job, then you can file with a substitute W-2. But you have to wait till February 15th to allow time for them to mail it out or request it.
So you're supposed to have it out just because this is a question that comes up a lot.
Yep.
You're supposed to have it out by the end of January, and I do not want to misrepresent any laws, but basically the IRS says, okay, it's supposed to be out the end of January, so you really got till like February 15th, did you say?
At February 15th, the IRS will allow you to file a substitute
so
W-2.
between then and February 15th, you need to be seeing it in the mail.
Correct.
At February 15th, if you do not see it in the mail by then, by your former employer or your employer, you're able to do what you said is file a substitute W-2.
Right, where we would create it based on like the last paycheck stub that you had, or, I know I work 40 hours a week all year at, $15 an hour, so this is what I should have made. I'm married and claim 2 dependents, so we would help figure out what that.
Okay.
So we would create the best that we can based on the information you have.
But you're recommending wait to get all documents if possible before you come in, because it could create a problem down the road with your return, and the next thing you do, you're filing an amended return. And
right, and those take 3 to 6 months to process and amend
right.
it. So that really delays your refund. So you don't want to have to wait that additional time. It's better to give it an extra week or two and wait on that extra W-2 or that extra 1099. Some of it's a retirement, a pension, your health care, if you have the 1095A. A lot of people don't realize they have their health insurance through the marketplace because you went to a local insurance agent and you got your health care there. And they'll go to the marketplace and get it because that's still the best rate that they can get you.
What does that mean? You lost me there. What does that got to do with my taxes?
Well, because you still have to claim your health insurance on your tax return. That's still current for this year, right? You still have to say, yes, I had insurance, and file that. If you get it through the marketplace, you get a credit. They go on and you put in how much income you have, and then they find you insurance that best fits that. And the government supplements most people that get it through the marketplace.
So you still have to report that you had insurance.
Yeah, and then you've got to tally up at the end of the year. So if you said I make $10,000 and they found you an insurance that meets that need there, and then let's just say you made 15, maybe you worked a whole bunch of overtime. And then so when you come in, you file your taxes, well, you exceeded the supplement. So now you got to pay money back. It's ugly. But this is the last year for that.
Wow, that is.
Didn't realize that, huh? Most people do not understand that. They don't see that. They just think that you're going on and you're getting cheaper insurance. But what's happening in the background that nobody sees is that the government is supplementing. They're sending a payment to that insurance for you.
Right.
Based on your income, they'll find you the cheapest insurance, but you can't afford to pay that much. So they're supplementing and paying. And it's different for everybody based on your family size, your income.
Let me get this right. So at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, if you are on the Affordable Care Act and you find your insurance that way, the government, you're paying $100. Let's put it like that. You're paying $100 based on you told somebody you make $15,000. Leave it there, right? Okay. So really, what's happening is you're not paying $100. It's actually still costing $400. The government's sending $3.
Correct.
Correct, right?
But they're doing it on an annual basis, so they send one lump sum once you go in and apply. But yes, that is exactly right. And most people do not understand that.
You got to understand when I do stuff like this, it's to not confuse me.
Yep.
So don't go back. Okay. Tell me just.
Okay. Yes.
But
so yes,
realistically, if I'm sending $100 a month, the government sends one lump sum. They send the payments, supplement payments.
Yep.
But I know what you're saying. But if I find insurance and I think, wow, it's $100 a month, then I turn around. I'm not really getting it for $100 a month. It's costing $400. The government's sending $300 times 12 to an insurance company. Then when I do my taxes, it says, oh, I didn't make 15, I made 21. And the government says, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you would have said 21 here, it would only have been $200. So we need $1,200 back from you.
Jackpot.
Right?
Yes.
Hell, you say. Excuse my bad language.
See, so most people didn't understand that, and they were flabbergasted. Lots of people have had to pay back. I've seen people have to pay back $9,000. $9,000.
But
because they work for a living.
Wow. Okay. That's why I brought you in.
Yes,
there you go.
It's terrible, right? So, but the plus side is so that part.
But this is the last year we have to put up
for
with
the penalty. You
still
have the health care unless something changes with that.
But the penalty
goes away this year. Okay. Right? This year on your tax return, when you come in and file now, you had to have health insurance for 17. If you didn't, you're paying a penalty.
Right.
Okay. For 2019, when you come in and file in 20. If you didn't have health insurance, there'll be no tax penalty.
All right.
However, and I'm not really good with, exact
words. Go ahead, give me the however.
But this is going to give you something to look at, and we'll talk about this next month. So, with no tax no tax tied to the health care, that means that Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, can no longer be forced upon you. So that means Congress cannot legislate that you must have health care. So something will have to happen with the Affordable Care Act this year. They're either going to have to put the penalty back on or rework all of the Affordable Care Act.
So no matter what they say, all right, and let me just end this with, I could stay all day on this. So no matter what they say in Congress and tell us up there on those big TV channels, something has to happen this year with health care, period.
for going into 20.
Right, going into 20.
Going into 2020.
Right.
Once that penalty's gone, Congress can no longer legislate. If there's no tax tied to it, they cannot
Right.
legislate that you have to have the health care. And that came from, I heard that on Fox News and then read it. And that's been like a month ago that I read that. So
Something has to happen.
something's going to happen. I don't know what that'll be.
Right.
And
I
how
know.
they'll react. And I've heard nothing since that.
Beth, I appreciate it. Anything else? Because I don't want to leave off. You make notes. Is there something very important that we need to let the viewers know? Anything at all?
I know. I really like that we talked a lot about the health care because most people really just don't get that, and I'm glad that we went into deep depth. One thing I would like to share, it's kind of a little plug for us and for the Boys and Girls Club. H&R Block does a really cool thing. We do a nonprofit referral program where we've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club, and they have these cool little coupons printed out for $25 off. So if you're a new client, didn't use this last year, if you come in and get your taxes done with us, you get $25 off your tax preparation service, and H&R Block will give the Boys and Girls Club $20. So they're trying to get into a new building and trying to raise some money, and so we're trying to help them out there. And that goes to any H&R Block. It doesn't matter. If you get one of those coupons, you can go to any H&R Block anywhere and use that coupon, and it'll benefit our Boys and Girls Club here in Pickens, Gilmer, and Fannin County.
Beth,
We've all joined together.
We appreciate you coming in, and if you can get me to understand it, we can break it down in little terms here for where I can understand it, and that's what we like to do is bring you information out there. You can see tax tips. H&R Block with Beth Bennett. How many locations do you have?
8.
8 locations, and don't forget, there's the phone number in the top corner of the screen to contact Beth and her staff there at H&R Block, and they have hours of operation, but during tax season, they make sure they accommodate all of their customers. So if you can't get there when they're open, call them and see what you can't work out, because I'll tell you what, they will do what they can to get your taxes taken care of, get them filed for you, and get the maximum return that you have coming. And that's only, and I do recommend, I know there's so many things out there on the internet I do recommend you call them and you actually have somebody work with you to prepare your taxes, and you can't find a better group than what Beth Bennett has assembled at her H&R Blocks. 8 locations, right?
8 locations.
8 locations. So call them today, and don't forget, Tax Tips with Beth Bennett. Go to FYNTV, Fetch Your News YouTube channel, and under the playlist, Tax Tips with Beth Bennett, you could share this segment with so much information for your friends. Good, Beth?
Great. Thank you, Brian.
All right, let's go to break. We'll be right back.